We're going to do another radio review, this time reviewing the Samcom FPCN10A commercial handheld radios. Let's get into it. Hey guys, I'm Kevin with Kemp Outside, your inside source for all things outside. Well, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know we've been doing this whole series on outdoor communications, making sure that you have the right radios so that you can communicate with your family, your group, or in an emergency, someone else if you're somewhere outside without cell phone signal. Guys, having good radio communications is important, so we are doing this series to help educate you if you are new to the idea of carrying a radio when you're out camping, hiking, fishing, whatever you're doing outside. Also, guys, I want to make these reviews valuable to people who are familiar with radios. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a review of these radios. They're commercial radios. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about the right application to use commercial radios versus maybe GMRS radios or a ham radio or an FRS radio or that kind of thing. So let's get right into the review of these radios, and then we'll talk about when to choose a commercial radio. So I'm going to just show you the box, and we're going to get into it to kind of show you what comes with these. So this is a 2-pack of radios, and it comes really nicely packed. I was excited to see that. And it basically inside you have 2 boxes that are individually boxed radios. So they both have the same thing. So we'll go ahead and just open one of them so you can see what's in it. Turn it around here. So I'm just gonna get everything out and then we'll talk about it. So first thing is a bunch of papers. Second thing I see is a drop-in charger. It's not detachable cord. It's 110 AC wall plug. It comes with a Secret Agent Man style earpiece. If you watch my channel, you know I hate these things, but you might like them. So cool. It's just they're not for me. I just don't like them. It has a detachable antenna, and that is an SMA female connector on the antenna, which means the radio has an SMA male connector. That's really important if you want to upgrade the antenna on these radios. And then, this is interesting. So normally when I see radios packaged, the battery and the belt clip and everything is disconnected. This is all put together. So let's open the bag. Okay, so here is the radio. And as you can see, it does have the battery and the belt clip all in one. So the battery has these little tabs on the side, right here and right here. You push those in. Okay. You push them in, you slide down, and the battery comes off. Belt clip stays with the radio. So the battery says it is a 3000 milliamp battery. It is not USB-C rechargeable, so you're going to have to drop it in the cradle to charge it. That may or may not be something you care about. I'll just say that I really am starting to like USB-C rechargeable radios because I take a lot of radios with me and I don't want to have to take all the cradles for all the different radios. So I love USB-C charging, but this one doesn't have that. And it does, according to the label, it does have an FCC ID, and it says frequency range is 400 to 470 megahertz. RF output looks like it says less than or equal to 2 watts. So we're going to test the power output on these things to see. I've seen 3 watts listed elsewhere. So we'll go ahead and turn the battery back on. Just some initial impressions of the radio, guys. It's very comfortable in the hand. I like the ergonomics. The PTT feels good. It's got 2 knobs. One is an on / volume. That's this one. And then the taller one is a channel select. So that's good. And then it doesn't have a number keypad. but it does have a couple of buttons down below, and we'll talk about those in a minute. And oh yeah, by the way, my favorite part of buying any electronic, oh yeah. So let's go ahead and attach the antenna. All right, and then we're gonna just turn it on. It turns on, says Samcom, and then really simple display. It says channel D, with a big number 1. So turn in the knob, changes the channels as I expected. There's a volume control. The up-down buttons do not change the channel, so that's good to know. So this radio has 20 channels, and if you hit the bottom button right here on the side of the radio, it looks like it goes into a scan. So where it scans the 20 channels. I have no idea what this radio is programmed to, so I downloaded the Samcom programming software for this radio. So I'm gonna plug it into my computer and find out what these channels are before I broadcast on anything. I wanna make sure that whatever is programmed in here, I'm legal to transmit on. The other thing I wanna do is I wanna drop these in the cradles and charge them up so that they're fully charged before I do my tests. So I'm gonna go do that and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so it's a couple days later. I've had a chance to fully charge up these radios, program them, use them a little bit, test them out, and I gotta say, I really like them for what they are. So one of the things that I really like is that the screen is really easy to use. Let me see if I can, zoom in there. There you go. So the screen is really easy to read. It's just a one big channel number, right? So it illuminates. So I can change the channels and it's easy to read. So I like that. Easy to see the battery thing. Now it does say, let me focus myself, there we go. It does say channel D on the radio. And I'm not exactly sure what that is. There's a way to reset the radio back to factory specs, and I actually did it. And when I did it, it switched it to channel B, and then I did it again, and it switched it back to channel D. And I think it has something to do with one of the sheets they send you, right? And it says it says, an important reminder to old customers, dear Samcom friend, in order to meet the requirements of most customers, 2021, we newly updated our two-way radios with a new default frequency, but it will cause a situation. The new two-way radio cannot communicate directly with the ones you ordered before. So if you have older Samcom radios and you want them to communicate with the old Samcom radios without having to reprogram them, it says power the radio off, then press and hold the monitor button to turn the radio on. And when you hear the beep, the switch is done. And if you want to change it back, do the actions again. So my guess is the letter D is like a firmware update. So this is probably firmware update D. The previous radios were running firmware update B, is my guess, right? That's, but anyway, so I'm running D, which is how they came because I didn't have any original Samcom radios, and that was fine. Just to go through a few more things, they do send you this card with a little QR code, and that QR code is for activating a lifetime warranty on your radio. So I guess it says, to extend your 1-year warranty to lifetime, please register on our website to activate your radio. So I can't see a reason why you wouldn't want to do that, why you wouldn't want a lifetime warranty. And then of course the other paperwork that you get is the user manual, and the user manual's okay. These are really basic radios, 20 channels, pretty easy to use. So there's not a whole lot in here that you need to know. The English is okay. It's not great. A lot of the radios from Chinese manufacturers don't have the best English in the manuals, but it's certainly passable and understandable. I was hoping that there would be an explanation for why the letter D was on the screen, and there wasn't one. But other than that, it's a pretty easy manual to use. The drop-in charger works great. I wish the cord for the drop-in charger was just a little bit longer. It's a little short for me, but that's okay. And I definitely wish it was USB-C rechargeable, because I am digging those radios. One other thing I want to mention is, and if you guys watch my channel at all, you know I absolutely hate, I feel like I'm blurry. So I absolutely hate these earpieces, right? I hate them. This one's not as bad, and I'll tell you why. The reason this one isn't as bad is because it has a braided cable. So it's a little more comfortable when it's rubbing against your neck than the vinyl ones. Now, it's still this plastic earpiece thing that never fits well over my ear. Very, very uncomfortable. So I have a bucket of these because I have a bunch of radios, and I never use them. But Samcom sent me a separate earpiece that has the air tube hose, audio hose. And this is really well made. It's got a really nice clip for the collar, where this comes up over. And then it has another side that's a really nice PTT and microphone that you could clip here, or on your, if you had a button down. And this is a really, really nice earpiece. So actually this is gonna go in my kit in case I need an earpiece instead of a speaker mic or using the regular radio, because I actually really like this. So I'm gonna put a link down in the description below on Amazon where you can get one of those. It looks like they sell them in a 2-pack, but the radio comes in a 2-pack. So maybe you want 2, but I would highly recommend that as an upgrade. If you're gonna run these, run this. So, all right, so that's enough of that. Let's see, 20 channels. I was not sure what the radio was programmed to, right? So this is a Part 90 certified radio, and I did go on the FCC website and I confirmed that it is Part 90 certified. It's listed under the FCC ID on the radio. It took a little bit to find it. The FCC's website is terrible. So it took a little bit to find it, but I did find it, and it is listed as a Part 90 radio. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is it's a commercial radio. So this is not a GMRS radio, it's not a ham radio, it's a commercial radio. So I didn't know what frequencies were programmed into it. So before I just keyed up and started testing the radio, I decided to download the software programming from the Samcom website. Now, here's a weird thing, guys, just so you know. It's Samcom, S-A-M-C-O-M on the radio, but the website is Sancon, S-A-N-C-O-N, sales, Sancon sales, and I think it's .com. So I don't know why it's Sancon on the web and Samcom on the radio, but hey, so don't make that mistake. I typed in Samcom and couldn't find it, and so it's Sancon. Downloaded the software. Now, my antivirus hated that software package. On top of that, it's a .rar file. You have to download software in order to even read the RAR file. So that was kind of an issue. I so wish that these radios were programmable by Chirp. There are some commercial radios by radios like Radioddity that are programmable by Chirp. So I wish that these were. They're not. So I had a little bit of an issue running that software to program the radios. I was able to get it to work without much trouble, but if you're not IT savvy, super IT savvy, I'm not super computer savvy. I know enough to be dangerous. So, and I could get it to work. So you can probably get it to work too, but I'm just saying it wasn't as simple as some of the other radio software programming packages I've used before. But that said, I was able to fire up that software, and I read the radio. And what is programmed into the radio are a number of GMRS channels with various tones. So if you're looking to use this as a commercial radio, which it is, if you're a business or an organization that has been assigned a UHF frequency from the FCC, you're going to need to run that software package and put in your frequency or frequencies that you've been authorized to use. This is not a GMRS radio, but as I said, it was programmed in with GMRS frequencies. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but just wanted to let you know that that's what is programmed into the radio when you turn it on. I went ahead and reprogrammed the radio the way I wanted it so that I knew that I was transmitting on some frequencies that I'm at least license authorized to transmit on, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But that's what it is. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put it on a power meter and see what we get. Okay guys, so we're going to do a power test, which is going to be the small number in the upper right hand corner of the screen. So let's go ahead and see what we're transmitting here. So this looks like 2.77 watts, 2.75. That's a pretty good transmit power output. I'm going to change channels here just to see. I'll go to a different channel here just to see. Sometimes different frequencies transmit at different levels of power. So this one's just a tad higher, 2.75. That's dropping back to where it was. So a little less than 3 watts, 2.7 watts. Not bad. So as you can see, it was definitely what we expected from a power transmit side of things. The next thing I want to talk about is a really cool feature on Samcom radios, and this is what I like the most about these radios, is that it has a group call feature. So let's just say you're in a group, right, and you are operating on 3 different frequencies. Let's say you have, group A is all on channel 1, group B is on channel 2, and group C is on channel 3. But occasionally you want to talk amongst everyone. Well, you don't have to tell everyone to switch to a group channel, like a channel 4. Instead, there's a button on this radio that when you hit it, all other radios switch to that channel immediately and receive the signal. So I'm going to try and simulate that for you. It might be a little bit challenging due to the screen, but here we go. So both of these radios are on channel 1, right? And you see this button right down here? If I press and hold that button and transmit, all radios will go to channel 0, which is the channel that I've designated as my group call. So I'm going to see if I can do this with the radio side by side. Hopefully they won't squeak at us, but watch the display. So see 1 and 1, hit the button. Okay, so it went to channel 0, and that's receiving on channel 0. As soon as I let it go, both radios go back to channel 1. So if this radio was on channel 1, this radio was on channel 2, here, I'll do that. Okay, so here you can see this radio's on channel 1, this radio's on channel 2. If I hit that group call button, both radios go to channel 0 and are receiving. As soon as I let go, both radios go back to their normal channel. Guys, that is sweet. Because if you have multiple groups operating on different channels, but occasionally you all want to talk together, a one button press that keys up all radios, that's pretty cool. I really like that. I wish that was incorporated into some of my GMRS radios, or even if I could do that as a ham radio feature, that would be really neat. Now with a ham radio or any dual watch radio, right, you could always set the second channel to the group channel and the first channel to whatever channel you want for your smaller group, right? So you can do that with a dual watch radio, but for a commercial radio like this, I can see where that is a great option for businesses who have, maybe one channel for the loading dock and another channel for, the sales floor and another channel for whatever, but occasionally you want to hit the group function and get everybody. That's a pretty sweet, feature. So I really like that. Other things that I will say, guys, is that the speaker sounds pretty good. Sounds like a normal radio. Doesn't sound super cheap. So that's always good. I hate it when I turn on a radio and the speaker just sounds so terrible and distorted you can't understand what anybody's saying. So the radio sounds pretty good. I do like the construction of the radio. It does have the bottom button here is a scan feature, so you press that and it scans. And then if you hit it again, it'll stop the scan. The top button is a monitor. So if you're getting a weak signal and you're trying to pull it in, you can always hit that button and hold it down, and that will open the tone, or that'll open the squelch. And then you can see if you can hear the weak signal coming in. Other than that, it's got a simple menu system. So the menus are what you set your group to. It does have a Vox setting, which is voice operated transmission. My guess is that has to be set up with the earpiece for that to work. I didn't mess with that at all. I'm not a Vox guy. I'm talking to other people all the time, and I don't want my radio to just key up whenever I'm speaking. Let's see. It's got a squelch level there. It's automatically set to squelch level 3. That was fine for me. I didn't have to adjust that. It has a beep on off. So I've turned my beeps off because the beeps drive me crazy. And then it has, I think what it said in the manual is like a voice compression feature. I didn't mess with that at all. I didn't seem to need it. And then these radios have a scrambler. So a scrambler is kind of when you want to make your radio, if you turn scrambler on both radios, then one kind of encodes a signal and the other one decodes it. It's not the same as encryption. And I'm not exactly sure how scrambling works because I just don't ever use it, but it does have a scrambler feature. I didn't test it. Now remember, guys, if you are using these radios on ham radio or GMRS, I'm almost entirely positive that using a scrambler is illegal. I know encryption is totally illegal. I don't know about scrambling. I would have to look it up. Bottom line is I don't use it, and if you're using this for anything other than a commercial frequency where you're allowed to scramble or encrypt, I wouldn't mess with it. So that's the pretty simple menu button. It's just got a menu button and then some up and down arrows, the group call, and then the exit or even locking the radio so that you don't accidentally change channels or whatever. So very, very simple. Radio operation, volume, the belt clip is pretty good. And one other thing I noticed is that it's a two connectors on the cradle. So it doesn't have a temperature sensor or like a voltage, sensor, that kind of thing that some radios have. So once these things are charged, you don't want to leave them on the charger. You want to pull them off. You don't want to fry a battery or overcook a battery. I don't know how well those would do sitting on a charger. I never leave any of my radios on a charger. I charge them up, then I take them off. I've seen too many chargers. I've seen like Facebook posts and stuff of chargers melted down and fires almost started and stuff like that. So don't leave them on chargers unattended. That's a bad idea. Just charge your radio up and then remove it from the charger. Charge it when you need to and then take it off. Other than that, guys, I really, really, really like these radios. But let's talk about what they're appropriate for, what you can use them for, and probably what you shouldn't use them for. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, as I said before, guys, this is a Part 90 radio. It's a commercial radio. And so if you are a stickler for the rules, you cannot use these radios on GMRS frequencies, which is what they're programmed for. Okay, now here's what you can do. If you are a ham radio operator and you want to operate on the 70 centimeter ham band, you absolutely can program these to ham frequencies. They will take a repeater input, so you can have a transmit frequency and a receive frequency, as well as your DCS and CTS tones. You can program all that in there, so you can program repeaters into these things, that kind of thing. So you could use them on the 70 centimeter handband, and then whatever you are licensed for commercial radio, the land mobile radio service or the business band radios, if you have a frequency that's assigned to your business or your organization and you want to program that into this radio, you can do that. That's not a problem. What a lot of people are doing is they are using Part 90 radios for GMRS. And as I understand it from the FCC website, guys, and I've read it a bunch of times, I've read Part 90, I've read Part 95. If you're going to use a radio on GMRS, it needs to be Part 95 certified. These radios are not Part 95 certified. So they are not a GMRS radio. Does that matter? Well, I've stated my opinion before and I'll state it again. I don't care about type acceptance for radios. What I care about is, are you licensed for the service and are you using it according to the service rules, right? Are you transmitting more power than you're supposed to? Are you interrupting other people's transmissions? Are you using an antenna, or is your antenna height higher than it's legally allowed? Are you transmitting more power? I might have said that one already. Are you doing stuff that you shouldn't do or that isn't within the rules? Then I think that's more of an issue than are you using a radio that's licensed for the service. So there are a lot of GMRS people that use Part 90 radios. They buy old Motorola's and old Kenwoods and things like that, commercial radios, which are built like tanks, and they program them for GMRS, and it's no problem. So I would say that if you want to use a commercial radio for GMRS, I have no issue with you doing that. Now, I'm not your mother. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm also not the FCC, so I'm not telling you what they're going to do if for some reason they were to find out that you're using a non-approved radio. I know a lot of people will probably get upset about this, but to me, it doesn't seem that the FCC cares at all what kind of radio you use for GMRS. It just doesn't seem like they care, because they're allowing companies to sell non-GMRS radios as GMRS. They're imported into the United States and that kind of thing, so they don't seem to care. And then I don't see them cracking down on non-type accepted radios. There's a lot of ham radios that are used on GMRS. There's a lot of commercial radios that are used on GMRS. And I don't think the FCC cares. I don't think that they care, as long as you're not doing things that interfere with other people's ability to use the radio service. I don't think they care. Now, I could be wrong, and if we see a bunch of enforcement from the FCC in the future on this, then I'll retract my statement, but I haven't seen it, and FCC has to report everything they do. So, if they were making enforcement cases, we'd know about it, and they're not. So if you want to use these commercial radios for GMRS or FRS frequencies, you are certainly able to program those frequencies into the radio. Now, keep in mind, there are 22 GMRS channels, and these radios only hold 20 channels. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that channels 8 to 14 of GMRS are limited to a 0.5 watt transmit power. There's no way to turn these radios down. So from channels 8 to 14 of GMRS, if you're transmitting on these things, you're technically transmitting an illegal amount of power. So just letting you know what the rules are. You guys can decide for yourselves what you want to do there. I don't see a whole lot of difference between 2 watts and a 0.5 watt on an HT with this kind of antenna. I just don't see it. I don't see that it matters. But again, I don't set the rules. I'm just telling you what the rules are, and I'm telling you, you make adult decisions that you stand by on yourself. So for me, because I don't have a land mobile radio license, I don't have a business that has frequencies assigned to it or anything like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these as GMRS. And so I have GMRS frequencies programmed in. That's what I'm going to do with them. I don't see how that's an issue. So I've programmed in the high-powered, GMRS frequencies, and that's what I'm going to use. I might also program in the national calling frequency on 70 centimeters or something. But the thing is if you have a radio and you have other services programmed into the same radio, right? A commercial radio like this, there's nothing on the display that tells me what frequency I'm transmitting on, right? So I would have to remember that, oh, hey, I took channel 20, or in this case, channel 0 or or channel 19 of this radio, and I put that on the ham bands, right? So I would have to remember what channel I'm on and whether I'm on the ham band or the GMRS band. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to mix services on this radio. So I just stuck with GMRS. That way I know when I key up, I'm going to identify with my GMRS call sign, and I don't have to worry about whether I'm on a GMRS frequency or ham frequency, because there's nothing on the screen that will tell me what frequency I'm on or what band I'm on. All it's going to give me is the channel number. So keep that in mind with a radio like this. If you are going to use a radio that you mix radio services, ham and GMRS on the same radio, yes, I know it's illegal, but I know people do it. If you're going to do it, make sure you have something on the screen that tells you what you're on so you don't miss ID. I think that's really important. So that said, guys, again, really, really like the radios. I love that group call feature. So that's a really, really cool feature. So the question is, would I recommend the radio? Well, I would say it depends on your usage. If you're looking for a commercial radio, if you like for your business or your church or your organization, whatever, I think these are really cool. And that group feature, I think that's awesome. I mean, I've messed with some Radioddity and some other commercial radios, and that group call feature, I think, is sweet. So if I was looking for a commercial radio, I would definitely give the Samcom some consideration. Is it what I would recommend for a GMRS radio or a ham radio? Well, that's where it's a little limited. It doesn't have as many channels. I mean, some of my ham radios have 999 memory channels. Some of my GMRS radios have, 128 memory channels. And so I can program in a lot of things into those. You can't program in all the GMRS channels in one radio here. So if you don't need that and you want the group call feature, for GMRS, if you've got groups that are going to operate on different GMRS channels and you want a group function, this might be the radio for you. I mean, it's pretty cool. If you want something that's really simple to operate, where, you hand this off to your kid, or you hand this off to someone who's not radio savvy in your family, and just say, hey, you turn this knob until it reads channel 3. That's the channel we're on. You hit this button and you talk on it and you release it and you can hear. That's all it takes. It's a very, very easy radio to operate. It's not nearly as complicated as a ham radio or even some of the GMRS radios. So I like that. There's no waterproof rating as far as I can tell. So whenever there's no IP rating on a radio, I assume it's not waterproof. So if you're going to be using this radio in the field, if you're going to be using it camping, hiking, hunting, fishing, whatever it is that you're going to do there, this does not have a waterproof rating. So keep that in mind. Do I think it would handle a splash? It probably would. It seems like it's built very similar to a lot of the radios that I have. Would I chance it? No. If I was going to go out in inclement weather, I would take one of my waterproof ham radios or waterproof GMRS radios that I have. So if you're using it indoor in a warehouse space or something like that, where you don't have to worry about weather, no problem. If you're going to be out in the field, you either need to prepare for weather, which is very easy, guys. You can take a gallon Ziploc bag and just stick the radio in the Ziploc bag if you have bad weather. So I mean, it's really easy to weatherproof a radio if you need to, but other than that, it doesn't have that. So keep that in mind. So that's something I think Samcom could improve on, is give it an IP rating, give it USB-C charging, give it a few more channels. It would be great to have a radio that did 25 channels or something like that, so you could do all of GMRS on the radio. That'd be cool. But other than that, for a commercial radio, guys, I really like it for what it is, but it is not a GMRS radio. It's not an FRS radio. So for you guys who want to use this as the FRS frequencies, remember, it's got a detachable antenna. It's not an FRS radio. If you're going to use it, you should probably have a GMRS license. Yes, it's not a GMRS radio. I get that. So we're kind of splitting hairs. If you're going to break one rule, why not break two? I get it, but I always say be licensed for the radio service you're operating, even if you're not operating a type accepted radio. That's kind of my line. That's where I'm at. You can do you. Again, I am not your mama. But guys, I'm going to put a link below where you can pick up one of these Samcom radios. As I said before, I really like them. I highly recommend them if you're looking for a radio with these kinds of features, or you're looking for a Part 90 radio. These are pretty cool. So again, I'll put a link down in the description below. I want to thank Samcom for sending these to me. I really appreciated the review. And again, Samcom, I'm always up for reviewing other stuff. So if you want to send me anything else, I know you've got some other radios in your line. I'd love to test those out as well. But if you're looking for a good commercial radio, I think the Samcom should be considered. Guys, I'm Kevin with Kemp Outside, your inside source for all things outside. We exist to help moms and dads take their kids camping, hiking, fishing, learn about nature, and develop a conservation ethic. We want to help you, get you and your kids outside. So that's why we're doing this radio comms series, because we want you to have good, reliable communications when you're outside, especially if you don't have cell phone service. We want you to be able to pick the right radios for you and your family to make sure that you can communicate with each other, and in an emergency, communicate with somebody else in case you need to render aid or receive aid. It's very, very important to have a communications plan when you're out in nature, and we want to help you do that. So if you have any questions about anything you've heard in the video today, or radios in general, or just getting outside, drop some in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. I'm happy to answer any questions that I might be able to answer. And guys, you can also connect with us on our other social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X, or our website at kempoutside.com. Guys, we're going to have a whole lot more videos on radio comms. It's a whole series we're doing. It's going to be a bunch of videos because there's so much to cover. But so if you have questions, check out my other videos in that playlist, or like I said, drop something below, or stay tuned for future videos. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.